Hey guys, enter the stars. And the more that's revealed in this GF case and everything that we're going through right now, the more that I believe that there's something more to this. Now let me pull up this video here before we get into this. And thanks to everybody that's joining the show this morning. I've got some bombshells, some information that I need to share with you that is a game changer because it shows some kind of premeditation to all of this. Now, we're here this morning for the Joker video, looking at Trump, the Joker, and revealing that. And we'll get into that in just a bit. But what I wanted to show you was, here's the video here. Oh, that's Joker new reveal. Let's go back to this one here. We're going to actually cover this video here, this Joker video, just in a few moments here. But before we get into that, I need to show you some things that I found. Now, apparently they finished this autopsy, and they're claiming, now you got to be careful with this because we don't know. We know that coroners are some of the most corrupt people in law enforcement because they can say whatever they want to fit whatever narrative that they want. We saw this several times. They'll cover up any information that they want to basically hide what is going on and also to steer and direct the narrative, right? Which is what the mainstream media pushes. So we know that we can't really trust what these people say. But we're going to think in 4D chess terms, no pun intended. They're trying to say now that GF had fentanyl intoxication and recent meth use, as you can see here. Now, I used to sell, as a pharmaceutical sales rep, I used to sell Xanax as well as morphine, a product called Venza. This was decades ago, back when I was asleep, fast asleep. This was my career. I sold other things too as a pharmaceutical rep, but look at this. We were taught, and it was very serious in our training, that these can cause respiratory depression. Okay, respiratory depression means that it basically begins to slow down your respiration, your heart, your lungs, your entire body just goes to sleep. And in fact, at end of life, this is how most people usually end up going. Like if they've got cancer or something, they just keep hitting that button, the morphine button, and through respiratory depression, they fade away because of the pain. And this is, you'll see this in the movies. They talk about making people comfortable, right? Well, that's what they're really talking about. And it's a big white elephant in the room that a lot of people don't actually die from these conditions. They're actually dying from respiratory depression at end of life. So they threw this wrench in the gearbox because what this does is it gets people to not feel sorry for this man. So it furthers the divide. Okay, this is why this was thrown in here. Now, it could be true or it could not be true. The point of the fact of the matter is that as long as this goes on, as long as the U.S. is on fire, there will be certain people that will become very angry toward African American people. Myself being one of them, being African American. And I'm not saying that because it matters. I'm saying it because apparently some channels are getting guideline strikes for hate speech. And even covering this case, this GF case, okay? Brian, High Impact Flicks, just picked up a couple of strikes for that. And my viewpoint is that they probably did that because he's a white guy talking about a black situation, and that's very unfair. But that's where we've come to. So I'm stating it for the record, YouTube, and it's just unfair that should even cover me, right? This is the world we live in now. So hopefully they'll remove those strikes from Brian, because he's done a lot of good coverage over there at High Impact Vlogs and High Impact Flicks. So they threw this in there because once this all comes out, this is going to cause a very large group of people on the other side of this issue to become very enraged, and to try to justify what happened to this man. Okay? And this is all by design, and I'm going to show you why in a minute. But I wanted to open the show and show you that, in fact, fentanyl and all kinds of other opiates can cause respiratory depression. In fact, they do cause respiratory depression, which can result in what a normal person can get air into their airways and breathe normally. A person that's under the influence of fentanyl or any other opiate could actually fall into passing out and not getting enough air because of the respiratory depression. Okay? Now, combine that with meth use, and we're on a whole new level of what is going on here. Now, the doctors still call this a murder. This is what they're calling it, knowing that they even identified these substances in the system. So this would be tantamount to someone who has a heart condition trying to sue someone who they entered a marathon in, right? They entered a marathon with a heart condition and they had a heart attack, and now they're going to sue the Marathon Association. Well, you weren't equipped to deal with the normal situation to begin with. And that's kind of what's going on with this, but no one's saying it because they're all afraid to say it. Okay? Although they are listing this as being in the system. So maybe this is why they're doing a third degree on the officer who had his knee in his neck instead of first degree, because the guy had already a pre-existing condition. Now, we kind of called this last week when all this went down. I said they're going to blame this on a pre-existing condition. Someone in the comment section was saying that, what's the big deal? They arrested the guy. They arrested the officer who did this. He's in trouble. So what's the big deal? And I said, well, this isn't over yet. They're going to say that the guy had some pre-existing condition. That GF had a pre-existing condition. And that was the real cause. And look at, now they're starting to weave this into the narrative, as I just showed you. So I wanted to show you that. Let's make sure we're connected, and we'll keep going with this because there's more. I found just a bombshell. I couldn't even believe it. I decided to take another look at the young risk takers, of which GF was a member. He wore the t-shirt. And there's something going on, because anyone who covers the fact that GF was in the adult industry, anyone who's covering that is getting like strikes and getting their videos removed, and it's being called hate speech. The mainstream media is not covering it. So you got to ask yourself, why? So, as alternative, independent researchers, we're going to dig into why. Okay? And this is what we did. So we went to the young risk takers, which was the t-shirt he was wearing in the film that he did, confirmed it is 100% him. And we found their Facebook page. So these are the guys that he was hanging out with. He said, young risk takers, Houston, da-da-da-da, right? He says that in the video. And lo and behold, one of these main guys, this is the guy here, young risk takers, GMF Entertainment. Well, G and F is the same initials as GF, the guy we're talking about right now. M could stand for Minneapolis. Who knows? But here is the bombshell. I'm going to scroll down here. And apologies for whatever lewd types of... As I scroll down here, I'm trying to get down to the part where we got some pretty profound information. So he has this music video called Molly's and Codeine, which of course are Bloods. or drugs, I'm sorry. And then look at this. Beach Boys on the Beach alert. They got an album coming this summer. This was 2017. And they have an X-rated movie star in here, whatever, in their video. That's her. Let's get past that. Sorry. And wait, let's go back up. We need to go back up to here. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Listen to what he says here. He says, we gon' win. The only way we gon' win is to sin. Okay? The only way we're gonna win is to sin. Okay? Now, everyone's going on and on about GF being this godly man, right? Wouldn't hurt a soul. But there's a whole another side to all this. Listen to this guy in his own words here.
Gonna win. Only way we gonna win is get down dirty and sin. Work me a bitch. Hit me a lick. I'm just trying to get rich. Work me a bitch. Hit me a lick. I'm just trying to get rich. Only way we gonna win.
This is the lead guy,
only way we gonna
right?
win is get down dirty and sin. Only way we gonna win. Only way we gonna win is get down dirty and sin. Work me a bitch. Hit me a...
I wish I could hit the pause button. So this is the lead guy. Okay? This is him talking about what he's gonna do, right? Let's go back here, because there's more. Facebook does not work very well, does it? Alright, so let's go back. Young Risk Takers Facebook page. Now, this whole thing is basically orchestrated on both sides. Now I want you to look. Let's go down here. I mean, this is just crazy. So these guys, we covered this in the last show. All these guys, these are the Young Risk Takers, GMF Entertainment. And outside is this police cruiser. All right. Now look at this. The page was created exactly 4 years ago, before GF was taken out by the officer. You can't make this up. There it is right there in black and white. Exactly 4 years ago. Now why isn't anybody covering this? Why is this date on here? Good question, right? We posted this in a community post right here on my channel. You would think that something like that would go viral. Hundreds of thousands of people would want to know why this Facebook page was set up exactly 4 years before GF was taken out. But apparently, YouTube's algorithms have failed in distributing information in the proper way, because obviously no one's seen this. Now, I don't know, maybe someone found this already in Reddit, maybe on a Reddit post, but there it is right there in black and white. The page was created on May 25th, 2016. Exactly 4 years before one of their members would be choked out. Now, there's more, because there's a t-shirt that says 1-800-CHOKE-DAT-HO. You gotta wonder what's really going on here. Let's see if we can find it to show you guys. Then we'll move on to the subject of today's show. I just wanted to make sure you guys knew what was going on here. Young Risk Takers. And we'll see. Let's try to get past that. Get it past all that. Jeez Louise. What is up with this? Is that Snoop Dogg? Sure is. Anyway, there's a t-shirt on here that says 1-800-CHOKE-DAT-HO, which, again, is another non-coincidence in my opinion. Now, let's get back to this. Many of you asked me if I would break down this montage that I did years ago on the Batman film from 1989. It was the one with Jack Nicholson. And the film opened on Boris Johnson's birthday. You know, the guy that is supposed to be Trump's counterpart in the UK. He looks like a mini-me of Trump, has the crazy hair. Well, that's when this film opened. And there's a lot more synchronicities to this film as it relates to modern times. And when I did this montage, as you're going to see here, years ago, I had no idea the relevance that it'd have today. I had no idea. So I re-uploaded the montage like last week in preparation for this show. There's not a lot of commentary in this montage, which is why I'm going to go over it again here on the show and give some commentary to explain exactly what's going on with this Batman 1989 film. So, the Joker in the deck of cards, which by the way is 88 millimeters wide, that is the standard size of a deck of cards, the Joker is considered the trump card. Now, we don't call it the trump card because, you know, the deck of cards is twice removed from where that originated, which is the tarot cards. That's where cards actually originated, if you want to know the truth. And so there are trump cards in the tarot deck. And so that was, sent down over time through these iterations of the deck of cards, and now we have the modern deck of cards, 88 millimeters wide, with 2 trump cards in it, 2 jokers. All right, just so you know the history of playing cards and where they came from. And you'll remember in the film I Am Legend, which seems to dovetail exactly into what we're dealing with right now, Will Smith uses the Joker as a bookmark in his almanac that he had. And he had the almanac open to the winter solstice, which is Apollo's birthday. And that just so happened to be December 25th. Well, December 26th was the actual official beginning of the current CV spamdemic in China. When it started in China, they were able to name it. That's when they first named the virus. And they named it, and on that day, there was an eclipse. I call it the Apollo eclipse. The eclipse formed a smiley face, just like the one you see on this balloon in Batman. It formed a smiley face underneath China. Went kind of through Malaysia and the Philippines. This was the path of the eclipse. Went right underneath China and formed a smiley face across the earth. We called this the Apollo eclipse. Now, literally everything that we've covered in the past few months about how eclipses also seem to precede spamdemic and sacrifice, like the CV outbreak, literally everything that we've discovered has come to pass. And it all appears in Batman, as the Joker tries to poison Gotham with a balloon clown. So this clown is in a parade, right? And he's going through the streets of Gotham. And of course, Batman saves the day. But he only does that after flying his Batplane over the moon like a lunar eclipse. Now, there's an eclipse coming up on June 21st on the summer solstice. I call it another Apollo eclipse. Now, I got to look at the number of days between December 26th, that other eclipse that started the CV, and the June 21st eclipse, because there may be a connection there in the number of days between those two. But back in 2017, when we first covered the Batman 1989 film in this video here, we were looking at another eclipse in which NASA launched these 50 bacteria-laden balloons right along the eclipse path. And they admitted that they were doing a study on how ultraviolet radiation would affect these bacteria-laden balloons. Because, why? Because the corona of the sun would only allow this electromagnetic radiation to affect this, and there was something about that they could only test this during the eclipse. We covered all this. Many of you that follow the channel will remember everything that I'm telling you. So, let's keep going with this. Let's play some of this. So, of course, that eclipse that happened back in 2017 entered the U.S. in the 33rd state and exited on the 33rd parallel. It entered Oregon, which is the 33rd state, and exited the 33rd parallel. I think it was near Georgia or South Carolina. So this is a single 3-minute segment from the 1989 film Batman. Now, just so you know, CC is 33, because C is the third letter of the alphabet, right? But it's also the number 200 in Roman numerals. So when you see CC in Roman numerals, it means 200. I believe that references the fallen ones, the 200 fallen ones that came down at Mount Hermon and swore an oath in which they were mutually imprecated to sin. And there you see the 200. And there you saw the balloon releasing the gas, right? Now, there's something weird about this, because when they showed us the map of all of the cases across America, it looked like a bunch of red balloons. And we were talking about 99 red balloons back then. Let's keep watching.
He's going to kill everybody!
Money. Everybody's money in the streets, right? The failure of our economy. And we're seeing that right now. Masks, masks, masks. It's as if this was made for right now. So Batman grabs the balloons in the parade because they're full of this poison gas, and he releases them up into the atmosphere. And I argue that this is the Trump character, the Trump card, the Joker. There's your 200 fallen ones.
Somebody tell me that he had one of those things.
Now, Trump was born on a lunar eclipse. Batman, The Dark Knight Rises, was filmed at Trump Tower, right there in the 66th floor penthouse where the Apollo painting sits. There they filmed Batman, The Dark Knight Rises. Who is the Dark Knight? Well, there's two sides to Trump. There's the Joker and there's the Batman. I believe they're one and the same, two sides of the same coin.
Gotham City Cathedral, Transportation 2.
Now this is the Vesica Pisces. And what you're going to notice, a lot of churches have this kind of hidden into their symbolism, right? It's this high arching arch with a point at the top, And what that really represents is the center of the Vesica Pisces, the two circles squeezed together. We've done so much work in explaining to you what that actually means. Those two circles squeezed in together represents, for the fallen ones, the 200, it represents the merging of the two seeds. The book of Daniel says, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. This is what it says in the King James Version. How do you explain that passage? It means there are two bloodlines. Now, for everything that the dark side does, there's also a good version. So when you think about the Vesica Pisces, the two seeds squished together, at the center is a fish, the shape of a fish. Okay? And that fish would represent Jesus. And he gives salvation to both seed lines if you believe in him. So he took the blood out of the equation. Why? Because before Jesus came, if you were of the dark seed line, you were condemned. And the Hebrews would hunt you down back in the day during the Exodus, because they were being hunted down, right, by the Canaanite giants. They were being hunted down, and God allowed the Hebrews to wage war on them to defend themselves and defend the future bloodline of Christ, which was the tribe of Judah, one of the 12 tribes. That had to survive so that Christ could be born. Once Christ would be born, he said that I offer salvation to Jews and Gentiles, which would be both bloodlines, if you believe in him. So do you see how the Vesica Pisces can mean two completely different things to each? To the dark side, it is the beast. It is the flesh. It is the merging of flesh with the fallen ones. And at the center, that flesh becomes the matrix opening of the woman, of the womb. The matrix opening of the womb. When you're born into this world, you're born into sin. This is why you have to be born again. You have to be reborn through Christ. So you see the juxtaposition of the two concepts. And so this opening of the woman, right? This is what you're looking at. Represents the matrix. You're born into it. And you have to escape through rebirth. You have to, through your life, you have to find Christ. You have to find him. He finds you and you find him. You meet in the middle, and then you're reborn. And I believe that if this is the requirement to pass through the narrow gate, I believe then that Christ must reveal himself to every single soul throughout their life, somehow, some way. It's like an automatic button. It has to be, because if that's a requirement, how can that be fair if he doesn't reveal himself? And I'm talking even to people who've never opened the Bible. They must have some kind of miraculous revelation throughout their life. People in the deep forests of the Amazon who've never seen a Bible. Christ may even appear to them and show them the way to the narrow gate. So here we are. There's the Vesica Pisces, of course. Again, the Joker is the devil, and this appears to him. He goes through this, right? God, doesn't this look like the wall? Doesn't this look like the red wall? Let's pull up some images of that. This is crazy. Trump's wall. Wow. I don't know, like, these things they just appear. They just appear to me. So here's the wall, and of course, as seasons change, the wall begins to turn red because of the rust factor. Here's an image of the wall, so you know I'm not making this up. And this looks a lot like this, does it not? Let's flip back and forth there. Wow. So there it is. So this is 1989, you guys. 1989. Let's keep going. So there's the Vesica Pisces I was talking about earlier. And mathematically, the number 153 appears, linking it directly back to Christ, who talked about casting your net to the right side of the boat to take out 153 fish. That number is in the Bible. 153 fish were pulled out of the net. He was talking about the Vesica Pisces. And you'll notice that the Vesica Pisces is also mirrored letter C's, mirroring each other, because those are the 200 that came down at Hermon. It's also the Coco Chanel logo. Gucci. Cape Crusader, CC. Now we got a number of remarkable eclipses that are going to be occurring over the next couple years. Of course, 2024, the 99th day of the year, that is a mirror of 66, the 66th floor penthouse. All of this is linked in together. Now, this was the original video that I uploaded in 2017. I just want you to know that. Okay, I didn't edit it. It's the original. And here we were talking about throwing money in the streets, and which is happening right now. Who was throwing money in the streets? Somebody was throwing actual dollar bills into the streets. I think it was at some kind of an event or something. Somebody can remind us in the chat. Let us know when that was happening. It just happened like last week. And we were talking about eclipses coinciding with spamdemic right here in this video. Now, what we also showed you is what are called metonic cycles. And actually, the Jewish calendar is built on metonic cycles, they're called. And what the metonic cycle is, it's a 19-year cycle where, remember, CV19, 19 years ago we had blind 11. There's a lot of stuff linked into the number 19. Well, there's also what's called the metonic cycle, 19-year cycle. And the weird thing is that both the moon and the sun follow 19-year cycles. So, in other words, every 19 years, the moon phase and date repeats exactly. In fact, in the exact point in the sky. It's a duplicate moon. So every 19 years you get a duplicate moon. No greater and no less. And there is also a metonic cycle of eclipses. So we have two heavenly bodies that we are told are millions of miles apart. This is what science tells us. Yet they both follow a 19-year cycle. There's something they're not telling us. Now, I call these cycles the Apollo eclipse cycle because solar eclipses that we identified with Trump occur on the summer solstice. That's the next one. Apollo is the sun god. Here's the solar eclipse of June 21st, 2020. It's coming up. Here it is. And it's weird because this eclipse coming up in just less than 20 days is a sad face under China. A sad faced smile now cry later. Does that term maybe mean pairs of eclipses in the same exact spot, but one is with an upturned smile and one is with a sad face smile? Is that what this is really all about? We have almost the same exact eclipse, except the smiley face goes downwards. Remember, the smiley face eclipse was December 26th, 2019. That kicked off the CV that started supposedly in China. Eclipse went right under here, right under China. It was a smiley face. Then, here we are, June 21st. And I got to see how many days are between these. Let's see if we can pull this up here. I might have already looked at this. We're going to see how many days there are in between. Let's take a look here. Timeanddate.com. Do a little live decode here with you guys. So, December 26th, 2019. We're looking at a pair of eclipses, right? Winter to summer, right? We're looking at ice and fire, right? So, 6/21, 2020. Summer solstice, winter solstice. Calculate duration. And what do we have here? The distance between the two, 178 days. Well, there's a Q in there, I suppose. I think that's exactly half of a year. 5 months, no, it's a little bit short. 5 months, 26 days. Okay, there's nothing really there, per se, that we could stick our finger on. But we have a smiley face and a sad face, a pair of eclipses. Now, this eclipse is related to a cycle of eclipses. And look at what we have here. June. Where'd it go? Here it is. Is preceded by a lunar eclipse which happened the day after Trump's birthday in 2011. Okay, so you've got all these weird Apollo-esque, Trump-esque synchronicities going on with these eclipses, which seem to relate to him, the man. Okay. Now, other things that I've discovered is how the fallen ones and the whole concept of that dovetails right into these eclipse sacrificial cycles. And we talked about the Vesica Pisces showing up over and over again in these decodes. There's actually a seed in iPet Go 2. Let's see if we can find that. iPet Go 2, where the Antichrist character basically floats on this boat, and he goes into a church, and there you see the Vesica Pisces again. Let's see if we can find it in the images here. He's in the internal part of the church. He comes out the other side. I'd have to pull up the actual video. I don't think they're going to show it to me. But look, there's more eclipses here. Here you see this character with the CIA badge on. There's another. This would be like a lunar eclipse probably. Or maybe a solar eclipse. But the eclipses are prominent in iPet Go 2. Oh, I think this is my image here. We found that the Serbian Orthodox Church, the one that was set afire years ago, looked a lot like the image from iPet Go 2 that you see on your right. And there it is again, the center of the Vesica Pisces. It's also what looks to be the strand of DNA, the double helix, right? All right. So we know that these 200 fallen ones went up to the summit of Mount Hermon, and they took their oath there. And if you look at the summit of Mount Hermon, it also has the Vesica Pisces at it. Let's pull it up here. We're going to open Google Earth. Hopefully this doesn't crash the system. And I believe basically it forms the road that goes up to the top. And at the top is the highest UN base in the world, the summit of Mount Hermon. And just yards away is the highest temple in the world. And guess what? There's an inscription on that temple that talks about taking an oath to their God, and that there was no turning back from that point. So we're going to open up Google Earth. We're going to take a look at Mount Hermon. Let's let this load up here. Now, Mount Hermon is on the Israeli/Syrian border. It's actually in like this weird zone, a zone where I think they call it like a non-conflict zone or something like that. Let's go over there. And there's the UN base, highest UN base in the world. Zoom it in. There's Mount Hermon. And there you have the UN base. And there you see again that same image. The Vesica Pisces. The center of the Vesica Pisces formed by the road. I think this was intentional. Zoom this in here. There we go. And right here is that temple. It's literally yards away. It's almost like they're looking for something. They got a radar on here. You can see. Let's pull up some pictures of this. Let's get the pictures turned on here. Excuse me. And the inscription says, and you can look this up for yourself, this is called Qasr Antar. That's the highest temple in the world. Qasrantr. Maybe we'll look it up together. I wanted to show you this photo, though, of the UN base. Here's the actual hillside. Oh, they're not going to show us the base here. There are images online of the base, though. You can pull up yourself. Maybe this one has the picture of the base. UN base. I don't know, it's just showing down into the hillsides as well. Now this is at 9,000 foot elevation. This is the highest UN, the highest temple. Let's go in here and take a look at what this temple actually says. Well, that didn't work. Oh, there we go. Okay, so here are the temples at Mount Hermon. This is Qasr Antar. Now, we've covered this before, but I want to go in a little bit more detail because it dovetails into everything you just saw in that Batman decode. Probably close out Google Earth. It'll help us operate a little faster. Alright, summit site of Qasr Antar. Recently have been additionally discovered in 2003 the Qasr Kachib complex, made of two small Roman temples situated just a few hundred meters from the summit of Mount Hermon. Both of the sanctuaries have northern walls that were carved out of solid bedrock. There's a sacred building made of hewn blocks of stone on the summit of Mount Hermon, known as Qasr Antar, as the highest temple in the ancient world. Documented by Sir Charles Warren in 1869. It was a rectangular building sitting on an oval stone plateau without a roof. He removed a limestone stele from the northwest of the oval, broke it into two pieces, and carried it down the mountain and back to the British Museum, where it currently resides. An inscription on the stele was translated by George Nicholsberg to read, "According to the command of the greatest and holy God. Those who take an oath proceed from here. This is the place where they came down. This is the place that the book of Enoch talks about, that they took an oath. They could not return back to heaven. And the guy who discovered it says right here that the inscription was an oath taken by the angels under Simjaza, who took an oath together, bound by a curse in order to take wives in the book of Enoch. Hermon was said to have become known as the Mountain of Oath. So there you go. Right there. Now that is a rabbit hole, and a fascinating one at that. Not many people have made this connection. I've not seen it widely covered in the truth community, but there it is right there. So, we talked about the Vesica Pisces, how it means two different things. One to the good side, one to the dark side. And now we saw all these elements repeated in this Batman decode. I want to pull up the map. And you'll see with your own eyes the 99 red balloons. I believe this map was made this way on purpose, because balloons bring in spamdemic. That's what they are. Okay? Everyone's seen this map before. The map of fear. This is what it's all about. This is what they want. So are you guys starting to see what's going on here? Are you starting to see the deeper meanings of how all this works? Now, the Batman film was set in England, and also a lot of it was done in a studio. So there is an actual clock inside the bottom here of the scene with the actual clown. You could basically call this Trump, the Joker, the clown. It's all synonymous together. And there you see the clock. Now, this isn't the exact same clock, but why is it that Trump Tower also has a clock on the street that's very conspicuous? You don't see billionaires and high-rise buildings with this in America very often. This was significant, this clock is. And this is right in front of a time store. It's all about time, right? And of course, we know that Trump was represented in the Back to the Future films as Biff, the time traveler, right? And one of the oldest watch stores is right near this Trump clock. So I thought it was interesting that they included this clock in the scene next to the Joker as all this was going down. So if you remember back to all the different representations of the Joker throughout film history in these Batman films, you'll remember that the Joker was all about time. He was all about sinking his crimes for the best possible effectiveness and efficiency. And you'll remember that he would outsmart Batman often. He couldn't catch him because the Joker would get away just in time, because he was so efficient with his time. I think one of the most popular examples of this was the guy who died, who played the Joker. I can't remember his name. Maybe it was even in the Dark. No, it wasn't in the Dark Knight Rises. It was in the other one. And I think the opening scene, he robs like a bank or something, and they're looking at the clock. Everything is pinpoint accuracy with time, and they get away just in time, just before the cops get there. Okay. So, after covering all this, if you're still on the fence about Trump being the Joker, understand once again that the Batman Dark Knight Rises was filmed at Trump Tower in Trump's personal 66th floor penthouse. So that's what I wanted to cover today. As things progress with the situation nationally and internationally, you guys keep a close eye on alternative media. Make sure that you are listening in and looking at the signs and the symbols, because this thing, I believe, is about to go off the rails. There's too much stuff happening all at once. And back to back, we got hit with double or twin crisis. All right. Wonder what the dates are between those two, when it started. March 13th to May 26th. Let's take a look at that. So March 13th was a national emergency. And May 25th? May 25th was the whole GF incident. So 3/13 to 5/25. If it's 66 days, I'm going to fall out of my chair. $73 days. Okay, a little bit longer. So that's the difference between the two events. We got hit with back-to-back events. They want us to believe that the two are completely unrelated, but they're actually related more than you can imagine. They had everything set up in place to now enforce, going forward, everything we learned, quarantine, stay-at-home orders, curfews. They got us all to accept that under a different premise, right? And now all they got to do is turn the dial to a different channel and go, okay, you guys have to do all the same things because of this now, which is the GF incident, we're going to call it. So I don't know how people don't see what's really going on here. They're going to use the contact tracing to trace all the people that are doing damage to property. They're practicing. They're using this as an opportunity to practice all of this, to see how efficient and effective they can be. We got Trump threatening to release the military. Okay, they've got us all in this dualistic fight. They've reignited the race issue, even though this has absolutely nothing to do with race. Okay, I mean, I've never seen the world as it is now. Let me go into the chat for a little bit before we get off of here. I appreciate all of you guys coming out today. Oh wow, Dale has some synchronicities going on his life with these dates. Now more than ever, we need to be close to the Heavenly Father. Okay. Sometimes people come on the channel and they say, you would have more subscribers if you didn't talk about God so much. And you know what my response to them is? Everything that has been discovered on this channel is from God. How can you say that? So that just tells me those people are still asleep or in the dark. We always give the glory to the Most High. He's the one that reveals these things. I can't do it. I'm nobody. But yet, these things get revealed almost supernaturally through all of you and through the Holy Spirit. So, that's all I can say. If that's not enough for you, and you still don't have faith, I don't know, that's a little weird to me. I've been saying this for years, that this is all a God thing. But some people don't believe it. There's counterfeiters out there, people that don't believe in God, that are trying to claim these gifts. Watch out for those channels. Okay? A lot of them actually use the material on this channel, and then they cut God out of the equation. Be careful. That's all I can say. I'm not going to tell you who to subscribe to. It's all right here, documented. Everything going back to 2012, actually. I feel like we're coming to the end of something. Don't you guys? I feel like it's been 8 years since 2012. I feel like we're coming to the end of something. I guess we'll see. I just see things drastically changing. Drastically changing over the next 6 months. Thanks, Don. Don misses the body code decodes. Yeah, if you just type in body code on my channel, you'll find all of those if you need, to revisit those. They're very uplifting and upbuilding content right here on this channel. They're on the other channel too. There are many antichrists. I believe that, Jay. I believe that 100%. Yeah. Now you guys are starting to see the importance of the message that I was trying all throughout the history of this channel to explain to you about not being around the big cities. Remember? And I got so much pushback for that. People said, God's going to protect me no matter what. And I was like, you don't understand. Yeah, he's going to protect you, but it's going to test your faith. God will deliver you, but it's your faith that's going to be put to the test if you're in and around all this chaos. And now people are starting to see the benefit of not being... Who could have ever have imagined these scenarios? Most of the major cities on fire across America. Chaos in the streets. The threat of actual troops on the ground. Who could have ever imagined that scenario? That was the Holy Spirit talking. And we had, 8 years. As long as this channel's been up and running, we've been saying the same message, and I've been trying to find ways to do it. In the beginning, I was like, hey, guys, maybe I'm going to move to Ecuador. Then we went to France, rural France. That's been the theme the whole time, is to find a way to get away. And for those of you that listened, you've had 8 years to prepare. And here we are at the end, and guess what? It's going to get harder and harder and harder to do this. I told you about some land I just got for pennies on the dollar. Pennies on the acre. And I'm going to kind of hold that close to the vest because I feel like the warning has already been done. And a lot of people didn't listen. They had the means to do it, but instead they chose to stay in the matrix, to stay in the cities. And now they are suffering the consequences. Look at the people in New York. They're still stuck in those high rises. They can't even get out. They can't even get out. You go to rent a car and they've inflated the prices. There's no way out. Chasing people down across state lines. There's something going on. And here we are. Twin events, 19 years apart. And many people wish they would have heeded the warning of the Exodus, because it's not expensive to do. You could have all done it. I don't know if you can still do it. But your faith will be tested 10 times worse if you're living in one of these zones. If you're out in the country, they're not really bothered with you because they don't have the resources to get out there and enforce all this stuff. You're not going to see looting out there. You're not going to see all the stuff you see in a city. They just shot a paintball at a lady who's sitting on her porch with her family. It's all on video camera. Walking through the streets telling people, get in your homes. Shot her son with a paintball gun. This is pretty soon it's going to be live bullets. So, I don't know what else to say. This is the world we live in now. And I recommend lots of prayer. I recommend that people get closer to the Most High. You know, leverage the things that you've learned on this channel. Maybe that will help build your faith. Know that God is with you. He's trying to reveal things to you. He's trying to help you learn and grow. And tap into that. And go, you know what? This is real. And maybe that'll be what you need to get through what's coming. I anticipate the economy is going to crash. There's no way $6 trillion can be given out and have no effect on the economy. There's just no way. Then they're going to say that social media is the cause of the unrest. They're going to start shutting down social media accounts as well as platforms, or limiting them highly to anything controversial. It's all going to get scrubbed away. There will be no Enter the Stars YouTube channel. It's all going to get wiped clean, and they're going to say because of national security, because things have gone into chaos. Where were all the alarms, burglary alarms going off when all this was going down? Why were there so many cops in plain clothes all around the precinct as people were throwing things and breaking windows? Okay? So the people out there that think that you're protesting and you're making a difference, you're being played. You're being used to usher all of this in. What if everybody went home tonight? I just showed you some very troubling things surrounding GF, and that the Facebook page was actually released or made on the anniversary, the pre-anniversary of when he got taken out. That's really weird. I showed you GMF Entertainment, which has his exact initials. GF. I showed you lots of things. I showed you 1-800-CHOKE-THAT-HOE. That's weird. I showed you him saying that you have to sin in order to make it. And they're bragging about some kind of deal that they got. Look at the scales of justice up here. Weird, man. Very weird. So, let's go into the chat for a little bit. Make sure you guys are alright. No need for fear. All this has to happen. But you don't have to be part of it. You don't have to be deceived as you're going through this. The whole point is to be awake. To free yourself from the consequences of all this. To listen to what God's trying to tell you. You don't have to suffer the plagues. You don't have to suffer through all of this if you just listen. All right. Sin keeps you deceived under Satan's control. Yes. Bragging. Exactly, James. They are bragging about it. I just wished I would have seen it sooner. This exact scenario. Like what they're doing here. Okay. Step by step. And we saw parts of it, but we didn't really nail it all down. Jade Helm was a dry run. I agree 100%. Those who try to save their own life. Exactly. Those who try to save your life will lose it. And those who lose your life will save it. That's when you're in the big cities. There is such a thing as preparation. Which there's precedent for that all throughout the Bible. God preparing his people for what's to come. But if you're in a big city and you try to preserve your life, yeah, you'll lose it. Because you're going to be hoarding, you're going to be holding on to your stuff, and people are going to be like trying to get it from you. See the difference? You can prepare without trying to preserve your life. There's a difference. You're quietly preparing, just like Noah did. Prepared for 120 years. As he was laughed at and mocked. Kind of like this channel. This is like the Ark. We're all getting in and preparing mentally. It's a different kind of exodus than the Bible, but kind of the same thing too, right? Quietly preparing, watching, seeing what's going on. So, Jesus didn't say stay in a big city, did he? No, he didn't. He was out in the countryside, going from town to town, city to city, preaching the word. Okay. Just reading in the chat. So we'll be back on her tomorrow. Tomorrow's show, wow, all is all I can say. Tomorrow's show is going to be about what is called diffraction grading. Okay? It's called ruled diffraction grading. And curiously, this ruled diffraction grading looks a lot like the facade of the two buildings that were in Manhattan. Well, guess what ruled diffraction grading is used for? It is used for laser weapons and, let's pull it up here, and this is it right here. As you can see, it looks just like the facade of the buildings that once stood, the pair of buildings. Can't even say what that is. This is used in holograms and laser weapons. And we're going to take a closer look at that. They shine light on this, it reflects off, and you could create images out of space. Look at that. That's almost the exact, that looks almost exactly like it. So check the thumbnail and you can see comparisons side by side of this rule diffraction grading. It uses holograms. We covered this a while back, but I thought it was important to revisit this because the Navy just released this video actually showing one of these weapons in action. And let's pull it up here. This will be tomorrow's show. We'll go into some detail on this. I mean, these guys are just, I don't understand. Creepy. They got this thing here. They're trying to say this was 2017, July 17th, 1717. That's Q, right? 7/17/17. Wow. CNN released this, and they show this device, this piece of technology, has inside of it ruled diffraction grading, which is what I showed you. And I know that because I went to the site that created it. And these are basically lasers. They can take out anything they want. So this is going to be tomorrow's show. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. And we're going to get down to the bottom of some of this stuff. Now, I'm not saying that there wasn't thermite and all of this, but, you know, look, maybe this is part of how they did this, right? And they're just now revealing it now. Who knows? I don't know. We have the right to discuss these things, right? I thought we did in a free country. Well, we're not really free, and everybody knows it. We all know it now. More and more people are realizing it. So, all right. We're going to let you guys go, and we'll see you bright and early tomorrow. Take care and be safe, everybody. Have a great day.